You wouldn't think that a flimsy piece of paper could inflict such sharp pain on the physical body. But of all of life's little annoyances, paper cuts are among the worst. While not overly serious in the grand scheme of things, they sure do provide tons of pain for such a minor injury. So why do paper cuts hurt so much, although they don't pierce the skin? It turns out it's your nerve endings that are mainly to blame. We've got more pain receptors in the tips of our fingers than almost anywhere else in the body. These nerve endings are called nociceptors, and they warn the brain, through the feeling of pain, about high temperatures, dangerous chemicals, and pressure that would break the skin. Fingertips are how we explore the planet, how we do small, delicate tasks. Dermatologist Hayley Goldbach from the University of California, Los Angeles, told Jason G. Goldman at the BBC. So it is sensible that we've tons of nerve endings there. It's quite a security mechanism. Some blame also lies with the paper though. Paper edges aren't as smooth as they might appear from a distance and may leave a rough trail of destruction on the skin instead of an honest, clean cut. Finally, paper cuts are usually not deep enough to activate the body's natural defense mechanisms like blood clotting and scabbing. Therefore, the damaged nerve endings in our fingers are left exposed. Not only that, but the open wound is flexed and strained whenever we use our hands until the skin is repaired. There isn't a whole lot of research project effort directed at understanding the pain of paper cuts, probably because nobody would check in for a randomized controlled study that involved a researcher intentionally inflicting this type of torture on study participants. But consistent with Dr. Hayley Goldbach, a house physician in dermatology at UCLA, we can use our knowledge of human anatomy to assist us out there. It's all an issue of anatomy. It's all to do with nerve endings. To begin with, there are lots more pain receptors embedded in your fingertips than almost anywhere else on your body. Though Goldbach is quick to point out, it would probably also hurt a lot if you had a paper cut on your face or in your genitals, if you can imagine that. So while a paper cut on your arm or thigh or ankle might still be annoying, it would probably be more trivial than the extreme fiery quality that finger-based paper cuts tend to have. You can actually prove this to yourself by employing a test that psychologists and neurologists use. Take a paperclip and unfold it so that both ends are pointing in the same direction. If you use it to poke yourself in your hands or face, you'll probably perceive each of the clip's two pointy ends individually. This can be what's called a two-point discrimination. And since you've got numerous nerve endings in the skin in those parts of your body, the 2 points need to get really close to one another before you're able to tell them apart. But now try an equivalent thing on your back or your legs. The likelihood is that the 2 points would need to be really far apart before you're ready to tell them apart. That's because the distribution of nerve endings there is far less dense. It's understandable that your brain would devote more neural real estate to continuously monitoring possible threats to your hands, since they're the things your body uses most for interacting with the planet. If you make contact with something extremely hot, for instance, or sharp, it's simply more likely that you'll have that interaction using your hands. Therefore, the extreme pain felt when something injures your fingers is just the result of evolution working as it should, providing a touch extra encouragement for you to keep those hands safe. And then there's the weapon itself. Do a quick Google search and you could probably become convinced that thanks to its porous nature, paper is home to a bacterial menagerie, just waiting to colonize your paper-inflicted wounds. But whether or not that's true, the presence of bacteria and other microscopic beasties can't explain the feeling of pain, at least not at the instant of cutting. So how do we stop the ouch? I can recommend a couple of practical ways to reduce the discomfort of a paper cut. First, wash the cut as soon as you can with soap and water. This may reduce the prospect of infection and help the wound heal quickly. Keep the wound clean and, if possible, for a couple of days, cover it with a little bandage to cushion the wound and limit reopening. But for a moment, think back to the emotions you may have felt about your paper cuts. Surprised that the mundane act of licking an envelope could end in an injury and such a lot of blood. Shame that your body didn't coordinate such an easy task. Why does that always happen to me? Anger for hurting yourself. Anxiety that it'll happen again. I still have 200 more envelopes to go. Paper cuts are trivial. They can invoke a real emotional response, depending on the victim. How do you react to paper cuts? Let us know in the comments below.